Hey gang, good start. Time for another video looking at 20 DVDs and Blu-Rays that I've bought over the past however long. Mainly DVDs as always, but you know, let's get on with it anyway. First one, this one comes in from Vinegar Syndrome. It's an import. This is The Executioner Part 2 and Frozen Scream. I bought this for Frozen Scream, the video nasty. Apparently it's a really shit zombie film. I haven't watched it yet. Don't have a lot of interest in watching The Executioner Part 2 as I've never seen The Executioner Part 1. But maybe I'll keep you updated on that one. We'll see. Yeah. Bought Frozen Scream because it's a video nasty. Leave a link to my Video Canasty collection video in the description where you can see my thoughts on a wide range of video nasties, even though I have actually added a couple since I made that video, but you know, these things can't always stay up to date. The Forgotten, Julianne Moore. Haven't seen this one in a long time. This was one that my granddad gave me in a big bag of DVDs he had that he didn't want anymore. Don't really remember much about it. Let's see what it's about. What if everything you ever want and everything you hold dear never happens? Yeah. Okay, so it's about Julianne Moore having delusions. The Forgotten. Cool. Whatever. Four Flies on Grey Velvet. This is the shameless release of the Dario Argento movie. Comes with a very nice insert. This in the sort of Italian language look at the film. So this movie is about a band who I think it's the drummer accidentally kills someone, and he starts getting a series of phone calls and weird messages from someone saying that they know what he's done and all that sort of thing, and he's trying to solve the mystery. This is a really cool film, actually, but then I'm a big Dario Argento fan, so it's, you know, I would likely think that anyway. One of the entertaining things about this for me, actually, is that the band are, you know, it's... Dario Argento actually wanted Deep Purple to play the band in this movie, but they couldn't get Deep Purple. And you don't even really need to know that fact in order to assume that, because the band are clearly Deep Purple. Like, when you listen to them playing their music at the start, it is clearly supposed to be Deep Purple that are there. Which is super cool as a Deep Purple fan, you know, that little thing. But this is a good movie. I really enjoyed this one. Really fun little sort of giallo mystery movie is Four Flies on Grey Velvet. So that was cool to get that on Blu-ray. Next up, Frankenstein, Day of the Beast. I love a good Frankenstein movie. This one was super cheap, so I thought I'd pick it up. Don't know anything about it particularly. Haven't watched it yet. But yeah, that's Frankenstein, Day of the Beast. This is the thing with these collection videos, is that we're getting around to the point where most of the stuff I'm talking about I've not had for very long. You know, sort of 2 months max. So oftentimes I haven't actually gotten around to seeing it yet. Friday the 13th Part 3. Originally released in 3D, of course. This is the movie where Jason gets his iconic hockey mask for the first time. Definitely not a bad slasher movie. Not as, I would say it's not as good as the original 2 and 4. So the movies sort of either side of it. It's not as good as, but yeah, Part 3 was fun, especially when it didn't try to overdo the 3D aspect. You know, it just did the you know, there's a lot of moments where it's obviously trying to exploit the 3D, which obviously watching it on a DVD on my telly, it's not actually using. So it's really weird sometimes when that sort of thing happens. Next up, we have, of course, Friday the 13th, the final chapter. One of my favourite movies in the series. I've reviewed this one. There's a link in the description. I've got a bunch of the Friday the 13th movies because I really want to get a video out there of the worst to best of the Friday the 13th movies. So I'm working my way through them, watching them. So yeah. Obviously, I don't want to give away too much of my thoughts on each individual movie, but I mean, the final chapter, that's a good one. I'd suggest checking that movie out. A lot of fun. Really good special effects. Obviously, Tom Savini did the effects on the movie. So yeah, that's definitely a fun movie. This one's a good laugh, actually. Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. So Jason returns in this movie. I've noticed, actually, that the disc doesn't match the cover for this one. I got this online, so that's weird. So it's an 18 on there and it's a 15 on the disc. But yeah, no, this is a pretty fun movie. This is the first movie with Zombie Jason, where he actually is resurrected from the dead. So this is the point at which the Friday 13th movies actually kind of went full retard, if you like. You know, this was the point where they said, actually, let's just be crazy with this, you know. The movies have been kind of ridiculous already, but let's go full-blooded, kind of, you know, fantasy crazy with it. So yeah, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Yeah, it's a pretty fun movie, like I say. So yeah, that's that. And the last of the Friday the 13th movies that I have to show you, and this is, you know, obviously now I've got the complete collection. Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. This is not the best movie. Definitely not a great horror classic. It's just a slasher movie set on a boat, really. I'm fairly certain there was a YouTuber I saw once that said that this movie should have been called Jason Takes a Boat to Manhattan rather than Jason Takes Manhattan, because it is largely just him on a boat killing people. Yeah, this is an okay movie. It's just a really typical slasher movie. So yeah, that's the last of the Friday the 13th movies. Next up, Peter Jackson's The Frighteners. The Frighteners. So this movie is where does it sit for me in terms of Peter Jackson? My all-time favourite Peter Jackson is Brain Dead. My second favourite, I'd go with Bad Taste, actually, and then after that I'd have the Lord of the Rings movies, and then this would probably be next. Yeah, this is kind of like a ghost busting type movie, kind of really fun comedy horror stuff. Like I say, my favourite Peter Jackson stuff is his gore stuff. So, I mean, actually I love The Lovely Bones as well, that's a great film. But this is a good movie, The Frighteners. I'd definitely suggest checking that one out if you're not familiar. Not very scary or anything, but definitely a fun movie. This is Godsend. This is another movie that I was given by my granddad from just a bunch of movies he didn't want. This is something about a child getting resurrected from the dead by his parents, and there's some terrible things start happening, some murders and shit. I don't think I've ever seen it. I'm aware of the movie though. So yeah, I mean, I don't really know an awful lot about it. So yeah, that's Godsend. Looking forward to checking that one out. Next up, we've got some extreme stuff, and this is the complete Guinea Pig collection on DVD. For those who are not aware, Guinea Pig is a series of Japanese gore movies made up of 6 movies. So let's see if I can remember them. I think it's 6. There was Devil's Experiment, Flower of Flesh and Blood, Mermaid in a Manhole, He Never Dies, Android of Notre Dame, and no, I'm going to have to look. Devil Woman Doctor. So yeah, there were 6 original movies. There's been a couple of American ones actually added into the series in the last few years. I haven't seen either of them. But these movies are notorious for their kind of disgusting, kind of snuff movie type content. You know, they're kind of like August Underground before August Underground was a thing. Particularly the first one, actually. These movies are absolutely rotten with awful gore. When I say awful, I don't mean badly executed. I mean very well executed and very nauseating gore. So if you're not into that sort of thing, obviously avoid. They actually get a lot more kind of humorous as they go on. You know, stuff like He Never Dies is actually quite funny. It's like, you know, a very black comedy. But where they start out with stuff like Devil's Experiment and Flowers and Flesh and Blood, they're just very cynical, nasty, quite mean-spirited gore movies, which obviously is, you know, not everyone's cup of tea in the slightest. I like those movies for what they are, but, you know, that's it's a whole area of cinema that, you know, it is, you've got to appreciate certain, you know, types of things to get into it. You know, that not everyone is making a film for purposes of fun and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the Guinea Pig complete series. Cool to have that in the collection. Next up, Hellraiser Inferno. Managed to find this really cheap. This is the 5th entry in the Hellraiser franchise, I believe. What an incredibly plain disc. Yeah, I haven't seen this movie. I want to get all of the Hellraiser movies as soon as possible, really. That's my next series that I really want to complete. So yeah, that's Hellraiser Inferno. I really want to get all the movies together so I can do like a worst to best on that. You know, with the Hellraiser series, one of those series where I've seen the first 3, and then after that it's kind of random entries that I've seen, and this is one of the ones I haven't. I want to grab number 4 as soon as possible so I can watch that and bridge the gap to this one, so that I can kind of get the full series in my mind in order to do that video. That's what I want to do with Friday the 13th very soon. Next up, Horror 3. I had Horror 1 and 2, which had some fun movies on. These are just dual discs, double-sided dual discs. So this has Curfew, which I've also got on another multi-pack, on a 5 horror movies on 2 discs multi-pack. That's a formerly banned movie. In fact, I've reviewed Curfew, link in the description. Mirror Mirror, which I've never seen. Spontaneous Combustion, that is a Tobe Hooper movie, and I'm looking forward to watching that one. And What Waits Below, which again I've never actually seen. So yeah, these little multi-packs, they're usually quite good fun. You know, you get a bunch of shitty movies with the occasional good one put in. Have I got one of these with Shivers on? Is it? One sec. Oh no, Shivers is on a different multi-pack. Tell you what I have got on one of these though. I've got Mutant, which is a cool movie, and House on Sorority Row, which are also on these Hollywood DVD multi-packs. I've got a couple of really cool Hollywood DVD multi-packs coming up that I can't wait to talk about. They're just super cool. They're not in this episode, but they'll be in the next one. And yeah, I'm well happy that I got these. So yeah, that's Horror 3 from Hollywood DVD. Next up, the kind of odd one out really of this video, Inbetweeners 2. This is the 2nd movie where they go to Australia. There was a lot of plot holes in this movie, frankly. For example, the fact that Will's girlfriend has just totally disappeared from the first movie. You know, she just wasn't involved in this movie. I can handle the fact that Neil's girlfriend just completely disappeared because that kind of fits his character a bit more. That, you know, that he would just move from girl to girl really quickly. The fact that Simon's girlfriend, it mainly revolves around their girlfriends, as you may have noticed. Simon's girlfriend just goes from being, you know, this nice girl who he decides to go for, instead of, you know, when he finally picks the right girl, he picks this really lovely, nice girl. And in the space between the 2 movies, she's just suddenly become really horrible. That's a strange little thing for her. Not really a plot hole, but, you know, the humour is all there though. You know, in terms of, you know, the kind of gross out humour is really good in this movie, and, you know, the interplay between the characters is a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, it's not as good as the first movie, obviously not as good as the TV series, but Inbetweeners 2 is alright. It's definitely worth a watch. I know a lot of people who hated that one, but I wasn't one of them. Next up, Jeepers Creepers. Always buy these movies second hand, the Jeepers Creepers movies, because the guy who directed it is a total creep, and I don't want him having any of my money for anything ever. What's his name? Victor something? Let's see if I can find out. Victor Salva. Yeah. Awful person. Deserves to be put to death, but, you know, separate the art from the artist and all that sort of thing. And yeah, Jeepers Creepers is a fun little movie. like a road horror movie. There's also Jeepers Creepers 2, which I don't have, and that's a perfectly fun movie. Like I say, don't be going to the cinema to see Jeepers Creepers 3 or anything like that, because I just don't want Victor Salva making money. I hope he dies, you know. It's that sort of thing. Next up, the original King Kong, the 1931 version, 1931, something like that. Can't remember. This is, like I say, the original King Kong. A lot of people think this is a Universal monster movie. It's not, in that it wasn't actually made by Universal. It's a film Universal have gained the rights to in the years since, I believe. King Kong is a classic, one of the all-time great monster movies, one of the original monster movies. I'm desperately trying to remember what year it was. I think it was about 1933, 1931, 1933. Yeah, this is a great movie. King Kong, superb. The effects still stand up really well, actually, in terms of, you know, the ape and stuff. It all still looks really good, I think. So yeah, that is absolutely the best version of King Kong. Much as I do like the Peter Jackson King Kong, this is the classic, the one that started it all. One of the all-time great monster movies. Next up, The Last Broadcast. This is the movie that a lot of people forget about, that actually preceded the Blair Witch Project and introduced a lot of the same ideas that the Blair Witch Project included. This is a found footage movie about a group of people who go on the hunt for information regarding the Jersey Devil murders, in much the same way that they do in the Blair Witch Project. They're looking for information on the legend of the Blair Witch. This film kind of went under the radar. It wasn't until a few years later when, obviously the Blair Witch Project had blown up, and a lot of people started saying, actually, there was another movie as well that did a very similar thing. Obviously, both of them are massively predated by Cannibal Holocaust, but in terms of that kind of pure found footage style, this one is the original. It predates Blair Witch anyway. Next up, Last Light. I haven't seen this one yet. This is another one of those DVDs my granddad bequeathed to me. Not bequeathed, he hasn't died, but, gifted me. This is like a prison movie, I believe, with Kiefer Sutherland and Forrest Whitaker. About a con and a prison guard who sort of become friends and shit. So yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Looking forward to it though. And last but not least, The Last Showing with Robert Englund. Who else is in this? Emily Barrington, I know that name. Keith Allen, I know that name. Emily Barrington, what's she been in? Was she in like one of those TV series? Was she in Heroes or something? So yeah, The Last Showing. I haven't watched it yet. Some sort of horror movie. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, it's about Robert Englund playing a guy who's taking revenge on people who work in the cinema he used to work at. He's a projectionist, from the sounds of things. Oh, Emily Barrington was in Inbetweeners too. Fucking hell. What a coincidence. Amazing. I knew I recognised the name. She must be the other girl. What's her name? The one who he's chasing when they're in Australia. I can't remember. So yeah. The Last Showing. Haven't seen it yet, but, we'll check it out eventually. So, yeah. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure as always. Check out the links in the description. There's a link to my Video Nasties collection video, my Friday the 13th Part 4 review, and my Curfew review. So, yeah. Please go and check those out. That'd be awesome. Also, go and check out my wish list, my Amazon wish list. I actually got something ordered for me off of it, which I'm going to be reviewing very soon. From a very kind viewer. There's also a link to my podcast. Go and check that out. And other than that, please like, comment, subscribe, and be a good little kid. Look both ways when you cross the street. Eat your greens and say your prayers before bedtime. Catch you in a bit, ladies and gentlemen.